Hello, everyone. Hello to the Supply Chain Talk April edition. I'm your host today. I'm Ana Maria Velica. I am the founder and director at Green Apple's Career. We have an amazing topic today, decision-making in the supply chain with artificial intelligence. And just to give you the context of how important artificial intelligence is, not only for our personal life, but in the business as well. According to PricewaterhouseCoopers, artificial intelligence will contribute approximately 15.7 trillion US dollars to the global economy by 2030. So it's super important that we understand the impact and the contribution of AI to the supply chain as a function. And as you are used with our format, we have amazing leaders, thought leaders across the globe. And I will introduce you immediately. But before I introduce them to our virtual stage, I would like to invite our audience who attends the event live to comment, make compliments, why not? Because the best comment, the best question will be rewarded with a Supply Chain Talk mug, which will be couriered by my colleagues at Business Reporter. So let's get our panelists on the virtual stage. My first guest comes all the way from the hot Saudi Arabia. Welcome to our Supply Chain Talk, Walaa Maher. Please turn on your camera and mic. Hello.
Hi, and how are you?
Good. It's good to have you, Walaa. A bit of an introduction. Walaa is currently lead for supply chain excellence at Saudi airports. Walaa has been passionate about continuous learning with expertise gathered across a number of industries, from water treatment to FMCG sector to building materials and now to airports. And as a fun fact about Walaa, he's so passionate about supply chains that one day he would love exploring supply chain from another planet. So this is fantastic. This would be amazing.
Next step. Yeah, this is the next step.
Exactly, after we implement AI. My second guest is based in Switzerland, Matt Spooner. Can you please turn your camera and mic on, Matt?
Hi, can you see me?
Yes, we can see you. Matt is a supply chain expert with 30 years experience in leading global supply chain at Ericsson and ABB, a former researcher and analyst at Gartner, and currently thought leader at Kinaxis. So, amazing panelists today to debate artificial intelligence in supply chain. Just as a warm-up, before we go into the main topic, I would like to invite you, Walaa and Matt, just in a concise way and very briefly, to express your thoughts about our news item. And for the audience, a few headlines. You can see here in real time the link. If you click on it, you can read in real time about this news item. So the news item is Gartner says top supply chain organizations are using AI to optimize processes at more than twice the rate of low-performing peers. And what is this news item talking about? A few headlines. It's about a Gartner survey conducted with 818 supply chain practitioners across geographies and industries during October 2023. The main objective of this survey was to understand how supply chain is adapting to this volatile business as usual reality. It's no longer volatile. This is the reality of supply chain. And in the survey, the organizations were scored across 5 key metrics, measuring businesses and people outcomes to determine their performance level. 5 areas which are important where AI plays a major role. 1, demand forecasting. 2, order management and fulfillment. 3, supply planning. 4, logistics and distribution. 5, sales and operations. Well-known integrated business planning. Just briefly, Walaa, what are your thoughts about the news item and about this survey conducted by Gartner?
So, of course, Gartner is one of the most respected people when it comes to analysis and surveys. And I believe this is the reality, because if you see the 3 first parts, demand planning, order management, supply planning, which is all about analysis. Remember when we were doing everything in Excel, 100% formulas and VLOOKUPs, and when the Christmas is coming, when Ramadan is coming, and all this, AI, of course, will have the ability more to work on more data points. This is 100%. But coming from a different region, and as you know, I'm attending here on my personal capacity. I'm not talking about the Saudi airports. Okay, I'm not allowed. Okay, so I'm talking more on the supply chain in Middle East and Africa. I would say the part that AI to get involved in the logistics and distribution and the part of the integrated business planning as an overall process still will be slow, at least in this region, because we are talking about to have AI. After all, AI is a machine learning module. Okay, so you need machine and learning from the infrastructure standpoint, the internet, the availability, the reach, and all this. So I believe that the article is great, but it is more talking about, I will talk at the advanced infrastructure world. I will not say I will not say Western and American, because there are extremely advanced Asian countries as well. Okay, so it need to have advanced infrastructure, so this study can work on. So our audience from, I would say, some regions will not see the same analysis, but I believe the analysis is great. And even the opportunity of the 15 trillion, okay, right?
Trillion, yes.
I believe this is, what is the opposite of exaggerated? It is down.
Underestimation.
Yeah, it is underestimation. Okay,
Yes.
yeah, because I believe it is just extrapolate the advanced countries. But if you can imagine the other non-advanced technological countries, these numbers will be like 3x, 4x at least.
Mm-hmm. Very interesting perspective, especially in the context of your region, Walaa. What do you think, Matt, about your former employer and former, yeah?
And I know Ken Chadwick, who wrote this piece. I know Ken very well, so
Okay.
and absolutely respect his opinion on this. So I think that firstly, it ties in really closely with what I'm seeing when I'm talking to many companies at the moment. That the topic that everyone wants to talk about is AI. It's a hot topic, and we'll probably cover this a bit later. But the 5 use cases which are highlighted in this research, I think a lot of organizations are actually searching for use cases at the moment. And what these say to me is these are actually reflecting the current taxonomy and the current way that we run supply chains. So wanting a better demand forecast, wanting better order management, wanting better supply planning. Whereas I think that and I think this is what Walaa was getting at as well, is that I think that the opportunity for AI is far bigger than this. It's actually going to change the way that we look at supply chain. So it's very reflective of the current silos of wanting a better demand plan. Whereas actually, what I think we're going to see is companies leveraging AI to create more resilient supply chains or more sustainable supply chains, rather looking at a greater picture rather than just focusing on creating a better demand forecast. Because if it was all about creating a better demand forecast, it wouldn't be terribly exciting, really. Or if it was better about creating a better supply plan. So I think that this I think reflects very accurately the current perspective, but I think that it's only just touching on the surface of what AI will do for supply chain.
Thank you, Matt. And yes, AI is influencing the way we do shopping, the way we think, the way we date, the way it's transforming our lives totally, and supply chain as well. You wanted, Walaa, anything else to add from your side?
No, I'm just re-emphasizing the word that Matt used, which is this analysis is based on the taxonomy that we know right now. You know, the word S&OP is since the 60s. The word integrated business planning is since the 85s. Okay, so Oliver Witt, God bless him. God bless him. Okay, Oliver Witt, when he invented those terms, this was the terms of the 60s. So imagine what AI will just, with the amount of data that the AI can process, the taxonomy itself will change. Like I would say, 1 year back, 1.5 years back, the word ChatGPT meant nothing. Okay, just a couple of letters. Now you can see grandmoms are just saying, probably you have made this meme by ChatGPT. And you will see teachers refining, if this document was done by ChatGPT or not. This was not 1 year back. So imagine what will happen in the supply chain and the taxonomy of the whole industry.
Okay, Walaa, yes, it's we could have hours and hours talking about the power and the potential of AI, but let's get now into the main topic and discussion, decision making in the supply chain, and we have 3 points, and I would invite you now to delve into the main, the first topic: forecasting likely outcomes using simulations and scenario planning. And I remember from my previous years as a former head of supply chain, when the organization implemented statistical forecasting and a new organization design with mathematicians being hired to interpret the mathematical models in order to forecast ahead. It was wow. It was like it was scary. It was also welcomed by us, the leaders, as something like amazing. And within 1 year, we've seen already the results of how mathematical models would challenge the old demand planning in terms of pulling together mathematical scenario planning to provide the business with more accurate forecasts, because ultimately accurate forecasting will mitigate bad goods, for example. So Walaa, in your experience across so many industries, using simulations and scenario planning and this AI to predict better, what's your experience?
Sure, because as you said, we all worked with the mathematicians and the formulas. Okay, there are movies even talking about the same when it comes to stock market. It is the same in production, especially when you are handling. My last job, I was handling 170,000 SKUs. So simply to reduce the amount of work, you were doing what 80-20 rule. Then from the 80-20, from the 20%, you are looking to another 80-20. Then at the end of the point, you are just making decision on maybe 10 or 100 SKUs maximum from the 170,000. Okay. While now in AI, you will drop the data and you will just tell him, no, give me the probability of the 99-1, not the 80-20. You will find the data. And this with the support of the blockchain, the Internet of Things, the big data, all those modules that we have been working on the previous years, we were the one constraining those modules because we are unable to analyze all this data. Now, while those are talking to each other, totally artificial talking to each other, of course it would be great. What I believe still it will I will not say an issue, but it is, after all, it's machine learning. So it learns what we will give. Okay, we will be happy with what it will give us. Matt asked me a question about did AI forecasted the weather change? Okay,
Yes.
so I told him, did we listen to the forecast? Because simply you will say, no, don't sell in this market in April because this market will drop 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then you will find a superhero salesman. No, let's produce. I have a deal with X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
Blah, 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 blah. Then we will not listen to anyone. This is not problem. Data will be there. The
Exactly.
analysis will be
But
there, but
we
the
need to
paradigm shift
interrogate.
in our brains to listen.
Exactly, Walaa, and we need still we need experts to interrogate the data and to choose from the right scenario planning. What's your experience, Matt, in 30 years in terms of forecasting likely outcomes using
Right.
AI?
So actually, the way that I'm going to answer this, I think firstly, I'm going to start off with the current, how does AI improve forecasting in the current taxonomy? And then I'm going to explain a little bit about how I think we need to think differently. So AI doesn't replace all that we know about forecasting today. AI is just an additional tool that we can use to improve the forecasting. So the work you mentioned before, the work on statistics, the work on optimization, operational analysis and understanding trends and patterns will still continue. We will still need to do that. We will still need to collaborate, as Walaa said, with the and with the sales managers and the external teams. And AI allows us to bring in new external data and take a much more outside-in perspective and it helps us enrich and enhance our forecast. So yes, AI just becomes an additional tool. However, I think that we need to change the way that we think about demand, about forecasting. What is the purpose of having a forecast? The purpose of having a forecast is to mitigate risk. Exactly. That's the only reason why we create a forecast, is so that we mitigate the risk of not being able to supply a customer, or we mitigate against the risk of having a supply chain which is too expensive. And we need to move away from, we do these actions in silos. We do demand planning or forecasting because that's just what we do. And we do supply planning and we do inventory planning. And I think what AI is going to allow us to do is actually to change our approach and to take a very much a holistic risk management approach and actually look at why do we do these activities? How do we mitigate risk of things happening? And these are the types of functions, these are the types of things that we do. And this will make supply chains more resilient, because if we mitigate risk, it'll make them resilient. Another thing I think which AI will be a big change in forecasting is in the tactical horizon, it will probably change the way that we forecast. Look at the way that we forecast a hurricane today. If a hurricane is going to hit the East Coast, they don't say that there's going to be a Category 4 hurricane is going to hit Raleigh at 10 o'clock on the 21st of April. They will say, a Category 3 to 4 hurricane has a probability of hitting the coast of Raleigh between these different time horizons. So you provide different scenarios, different time horizons, and the ranges of different outcomes. And so that allows the people who live in Raleigh to prepare to mitigate the risk of those in the tactical time horizon of those different outcomes. And I think forecasting in that AI will allow forecasting in that tactical time horizon to move away from being precisely wrong to roughly right.
Yeah.
And that will become far more valuable in that tactical time horizon. I think as you go down to the really near term, yes, you do need to know, do I put a can of beans on the shelf in the supermarket on X day? But if I'm looking 4 months out, I don't need that amount of granularity. So I think it changes a little bit the purpose of the way that we forecast. And very closely linked to that is what you were mentioning is scenarios. Actually having the ability to build those scenarios around these different outcomes. So if we look at the range of different outcomes, we need to plan different scenarios, create different playbooks that will allow us to deal with those different scenarios. And that will then highly influence the way that we look at S&OP, for example.
Yes, Marty. Yeah, and you touched base on many important areas, and Walaa as well. It's about not looking at scenario planning in isolation. You need sales to challenge the forecast. You need the right KPIs. Do you over forecast or under forecast? Do you need the real challenge between sales and demand planners? Working collaboratively, but challenge each other, because you don't want to over forecast because you will end up with bad goods, but you don't want to under forecast because you won't have enough stock to create availability for customers and consumers. So it's I was told when I stepped in supply chain, I was told, what's the worst day in the life of a supply chain? And I was told by the supply chain director at the time, Anna, it's very hard to answer to this question because every single day you will experience a storm. And actually supply chain is very operational, and the worst can happen at any day. So actually your role is to predict and to mitigate that, worst case scenarios that can happen every day. And in that, I was like, are you trying to put me off to choose a different career path? But that reminded me, and this is supply chain in the current reality, with black swans happening every single day. Actually, the black swan is not just a black swan. We are living in black swan supply chain reality.
I just wanted to actually, Ashley asked a really good question about, do we think that the supply chains are becoming more of a competitive advantage? And this is actually an area that I've been doing some research on actually recently with Georgia Tech as well. And the answer to that is absolutely yes. And the reason is, if you look at the period, say, 2010 to 2020, we went through a remarkably stable period without that many black swan events. That was a time when I was a supply chain leader, and I thought it was pretty tough to manage. But actually, when looking back at that period, it was very stable. And the main focus of supply chain was to minimize costs. So supply chain was focused on, on bottom line performance and just taking that cost out. And we ended up with ultra efficient supply chains. With all of these black swan events that we're seeing now, we started with COVID, we're now seeing supply chains impacting equally top line and bottom line. And so supply chains are becoming a form of competitive advantage for two reasons. If you get your supply chain wrong, you will minimize the revenue and profitability that your company can generate. And I think, and we've seen this in 2022. There was some research that was done, I think, by McKinsey, where they identified that the Fortune 500 companies had lost, I think, on average, $500 million as a result of supply chain disruptions. And the other thing is that the organizations who are resilient, they will actually be able to take market share away from the companies who are losing sales. So if you're losing sales, somebody else is gaining sales. So those organizations who are resilient and have supply chain as a competitive advantage will be able to gain sales from those organizations who are unable to respond. So yes, it's a completely different period now, and that's why there's such such excitement about changing changing supply chain and adding AI to supply chain.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you. I see your passion flowing. I would like to allocate one question to Walaa. Thank you. Eshwar is asking what kind of shift of skills will be required for professionals to manage the change. Walaa, in the context of AI and forecasting.
I would say first is flexibility. This is skill number one before anything. Okay, because an Excel sheet, okay, or an AI interface will tell you that what you are thinking is wrong. Okay, so there is no place for, I would say, fixed-minded people in the next period. This is skill number one. Because simply, AI is a tool for you to see more data and things that you may have missed up. Okay, so this is number one. Skill number two is reading fast, acting fast. I'm talking about the basic skills. Skills. Okay,
I love it.
You cannot have a slow-minded or a slow reader or someone who come to you and say, no. I like to read the top line, only 2 lines, and I don't complete the emails. No, those people will not live anymore. Okay, because you need to read, you need to listen, you need to be up to the speed of the AI generating for you the solutions as well. I would say still you need to have the main literacy of Excel formulas, but you need the different types of formulas, which is the AI generated formulas. You need to be able, like SAP have put the AI, Oracle have put the AI. Now, while you are creating a PR or you are creating your sourcing event on the Ariba, the AI is supporting you. You need to be like aligned on what's happening. To be open for tools, okay? It is not about, no, it is SAP and Oracle. No, there are more than 40 ERP there. It is similarly, there are more than 150 transportation management system, warehouse management system. All those skills, you need to be, I would say, to summarize it, you need to be a fast learner, fast listener.
Perfect.
Okay.
And if I may summarize, I think I would summarize them like technical skills. Definitely, you need technical skills adapted to the new reality. How to interpret.
An abbreviation book, because lots of abbreviations.
Exactly. But
lots of abbreviations in the new AI.
Also hard skills, which are really important. Change management, adaptability to change immediately, because this is the new reality. So hard skills, how I love to call them, hard skills and technical skills. Let's delve into the second panel discussion topic, AI decision making, measuring and maximizing the return of investment. Because let's be very honest and very clear, investing in and utilizing supply chain with the latest technology, with digital twin, with machine learning, with all this AI, this is massive investment. And how can we make sure that the investment is paying off? How do we measure the return of investment? And I would ask you both to focus on cost savings, revenue generation, and total cost of ownership. So, Walaa, very concise, please. What would you say? How would, in your experience, how would you measure and maximize the return of investment of AI?
Number one, it shouldn't be about reducing people. This is the no-go. No-go. Okay, because you will reduce the cheap mass analyst, but you will invest in the expensive AI engineer. Okay, you can see how much Meta and the other AI companies and have invested in very expensive manpower. So the KPI is not the productivity one, while this what we all will go for. The return of investment, I believe, with the support of the finance community, we need to get out of the 3 to 5 years return of investment, because AI is an industrial revolution. You cannot compare it. It is like buying a very expensive machine. So it needs to be like a 10 years ROI analysis, not the 3 years. You will not find the 3 years analysis, except of the fast one, like an AI module for forecasting. So it will give you good forecast for the next 6 months. So you will know the can of beans for the next 6 months. Yeah, this
it's a
should be a small
long-term
one.
investment. Yeah.
Yeah, but because one of the main reasons, this was my closing point, one of the main expensive part that is now, I would say, stopping many companies still to invest in the AI. Most of the AI modules are depending on cloud, and depending that your data is going somewhere else. Like Adobe PDF Reader, right now the professional license is giving you an AI to give it the contract, 700 pages, it will analyze for you the main part. But it means you are sending your confidential data on a cloud. So companies need to invest in their own server, their own formula, their own AI and ChatGPT. This is by itself, I would say, from my community here and the people we are talking on a regular basis, this is already not stopping the ROI, it's stopping even the discussion. No. To build this,
Yes, Walaa.
no.
Yeah.
Okay.
I wouldn't agree more. Yes.
Especially with the economy status right now.
It needs to be. Yeah,
Sure,
it needs to be it's a long-term investment. You cannot just.
And it need to be defined from not me selling it to as a supply chain. I'm talking AI supply chain. I shouldn't be the one selling it to the CEO that please make it on a 10 years or 7 years. It should be the whole community coming in and putting the right guidelines. Like when you're building a warehouse, everyone knows depreciation in 20 years or more. Things like this. We put a guideline for it. This is
Walaa.
the ROI.
Sorry, I don't want to cut you off. Yes, exactly what you are saying about collaborative, about the leadership support and the finance community. It's called, I call it, from my previous experience, integrated business planning. You need integrated business planning because you can't just create all these new AI business decision-led processes without the right forum, without an integrated business planning. From your experience, Matt, on the second item, AI decision making, measuring and maximizing ROI, what's your experience?
Yeah, I mean, well, firstly, I think if we measure AI and measure it on a traditional ROI basis, we're going to measure it as a cost reduction tool, and we're going to measure it as just what's its impact on our current process. So it's actually not terribly helpful looking at AI on a pure ROI basis. We should be looking at AI in terms of what's its contribution to business value. And so I mentioned the research that, or the collaboration I've been doing and working with Georgia Tech on some of their research. And they were presenting at Informs on Monday this week. So the Institute for Operations Management conference in the US on Monday. And what they've identified is four different industry sectors, a balanced scorecard, and they've tied a supply chain balanced scorecard, which actually varies for industry sector, to market cap, and can correlate 5 supply chain metrics to within a 70% correlation to market cap. So you can identify that if you improve these supply chain KPIs, that they're likely to have a 70% or 70% probability of impacting your business value, which is your market cap. You can then look at how does AI contribute to that balanced scorecard. Where's the value? And that's what gives you your business value, is your contribution to business value, whether that's market cap or another measure of business value. I think it's a different way of looking at the investment, but it's actually a far more compelling way when you talk to the CFO about, oh, if you implement this AI tool, this is the academic research that will show how much value it generates to your business. It changes that dialogue. Because otherwise we're just going to implement AI and we're just going to try and reduce headcounts with AI, which is counterproductive.
I also believe, Matt, what you said, and also Walaa, is about the strategic priorities of a company, depending on what kind of industry and what kind of strategy the respective company has. Because, Matt, if there is, let's say, a year where the strategic priority is to cut cost, then this will be the strategic leadership position where everybody, procurement down to supply chain, everybody is empowered to drive cost savings and total cost of ownership savings. But if it's, as you said, also, if it's a year or a strategic priority where the company really wants to win market share, to invest in expanding and creating that increasing market share, then that advantage, that sorry, my cat, that advantage report benchmarking.
Why you don't have a robot instead of a cat?
The AGS is super important because the AGS is advantage report benchmarking, measuring how effective a company is in fulfilling and providing excellence, customer excellence. And this was one of the KPI I was rated, and my team as well, against do I fulfill this AGS with the main customers as Tesco in the UK. So it depends on the priorities, I would say. The third, because time flies quickly when we have fun and so much expertise at the table, I would like to delve into the third topic, which is human accountability and oversight, mitigating the risks of deploying AI in your supply chain function. So, and I think you touched base on that one, Walaa, and you mentioned that you still need people and you still need that additional layer of experts to oversee this AI, because AI is just an enabler. Yeah. So can you comment?
One of the attendees said, "Oh yeah, but you still need to have a professional jockey." Exactly. Okay, it's changing the horse again. You need to have a professional jockey.
Yeah. So what would be your opinion? Can you share your thoughts about the human accountability and oversight when we have this AI and amazing technology, artificial intelligence in supply chain? How do you mitigate the risks?
In summary, is the deployment of the ideas, the deployment of the analysis. Number two, one of the attendees said it is not only about the ROI, it is about the SROI, which is there is social return of investment. Okay, so this is an accountability as well. It is not about hiring people, hiring machines for firing people. Then the accountability on what you are feeding the AI, because if you will feed it to create a bomb, it will create a bomb. Okay, we saw people sabotaging Excel sheets to show that their numbers are right. We saw it 100 times. Okay, so it is the same. You will just sabotage the AI inputs. Okay, or close the GPS so the transportation management system does not work. Just make a nice smile in front of the camera while you are driving, so the dashboard does not give you the right data. It's all about this. The human accountability need the buy-in from the users. Okay, not to be pushed up down. It need to be like social media. People used it, loved it. That's why the companies became rich. So AI need to be the same. Use it, love it, then the return of investment will come.
I love it, and it reminds me of when Nestle implemented the GPS for for the vehicles transporting the goods, and the GPS was optimizing the route to make the life of the driver. First, it was optimizing the route to be more efficient and less carbon footprint, less fuel, but also more efficient and smarter, and telling the driver, okay, you need to optimize, go to these warehouses, bundle these volumes in order to, to be smarter. So definitely the GPS is helping, but what if GPS is down and you don't have the smart drivers knowing how to, all these shortcuts and knowing how to navigate.
You'll just park.
Exactly, they will just park. I love the comment. I love the comment. And who said this comment about Rebecca? Love this live show. Things like cats walking around. I'm biased, Rebecca, but yes, I love my cat, a Turkish Angora, and it wasn't planned. She's quite naughty, and I think probably she wants to contribute to our supply chain talk. Matt, what would be your view on human accountability and oversight?
So, I used to be an analyst in Gartner, so I speak to and I love speaking to companies, and it sticks with me a conversation I had a few years ago at a conference with somebody from P&G who talked about AI, about the use of AI being in the loop, on the loop, or out of the loop. In the loop is where AI is used to support as an input into the decision making. AI on the loop is where the decision is made by AI, but there's always a human who is validating that decision and is correct. And then there's AI humans are out of the loop. Typically, we're talking about repetitive type tasks where humans train the machine to make the decisions, and the machines make the decisions autonomously. They tend to be the decisions which have low impact, if the wrong decision is made. And I think that as we go through the maturity journey, decisions will go from being in the loop to on the loop, and then to out of the loop as the technology matures. Humans must always be accountable, though, and that's, I think, a really important. We shouldn't absorb. One of the worst things that can happen in supply chain is that no one is accountable, because then it's a complete disaster. And I also like to be very optimistic about the future. I think that AI is going to take away a lot of the really boring, repetitive tasks.
Exactly.
I mean, has anyone ever in the history of it said that they like keying data into SAP or Oracle? But yet that's what most supply chain people do, or they put numbers into spreadsheets. And if AI can automate those type of really tedious, repetitive tasks, then that's going to allow us, and actually we're going to need higher skilled supply chain professionals who can do the really interesting tasks, like sort out the problems that AI can't support, or train the models so that AI can make those tasks. So I think it's actually going to be fascinating time, and it's going to elevate the value of supply chain professionals.
And your point is spot on, and it's exactly also, Matt, you mentioned, and Walaa, you mentioned as well. So actually, this AI takes away the repetitive, operational, non-value add tasks and make us more strategic to invest and to innovate new product innovation, which is, how we make our companies more efficient, productive, how we win in this business. So yes, very good point, and thank you for that. I would like to read a comment which made me laugh. Matt and Walaa, you are fantastic, but I think the cat stole the show here. So in a very biased way, I would award
so it
Rebecca.
is exactly like losing to the AI. Now we are losing to the cat.
To the cat, exactly. So Rebecca Morgan, Supply Chain Mug will be couriered to you. And we are approaching very quickly our supply chain talk. A lot we could talk forever, and I can share a lot from my experience when in 2018 Nestle decided to implement digital distribution warehouse of the future. Literally, that was the name. So can you imagine, in 2018 Nestle already was working with its partners to implement robotics, sophisticated tools, very intelligent distribution tools, e-commerce fulfillment platform to fulfill Nespresso capsules and coffee. So I could also talk forever, but we need to wrap up this session, and I would invite you, Walaa, to a closing thought for the audience, for the leaders that listen to this talk show. What would be your closing thought, your action item?
AI is not a magic wand, yet AI is here to stay.
I love it.
So simple like this.
I love it. I see it as a quote in a master class.
Yeah, which okay, then you can use it.
Okay, Matt, your closing thought and your action point for our audience.
So my action point, I think, is very tactical, and that is to look at your supply chain processes today. Look at where are you connecting processes using Excel or spreadsheets and emails, and evaluate what are the opportunities for automating, potentially using AI to automate those email and spreadsheet connections. I think I agree with Walaa that AI is not a magic wand. It's a very, very powerful, very useful tool. And the way I think I would think about it is that when I very first started on my career, spreadsheets had just revolutionized supply chain management, because people know before spreadsheets happened, people had to ask the IT function to go and run a report from the mainframe. And that was the last huge revolution, I think, in I guess process automation. AI is a revolution, I think, on the similar scale to that we saw with Excel and PowerPoint and Word. And we're just at the beginning of that. And so I think very interested to see where that takes us.
Okay, Matt, that was more than concise thought and action, very, very comprehensive. From my side as well, I would encourage the leadership teams to embrace artificial intelligence and to allow the organization enough change management, because there is a change curve, and people need time and experts in change management to implement this amazing technology. So, dear leaders, embrace the technology and also bring change management experts into the companies to ensure you retain the critical workforce to make this AI a success. For the next episode, I would like to invite our audience to register and to the next episode, which is the same time next Wednesday. The topic is restructuring your supply chain for sustainable growth. So amazing topic again. So please make sure you dial in. And also, for everyone who listens to this episode, I would like to remind us that we have Business Reporter will launch an amazing supply chain risk and resilience summit in June, where amazing thought leaders from across the globe will come to London, and we will debating thought leadership about how to mitigate, how to become more resilient, and how to deploy this resilient supply chain. I have the privilege to co-chair and co-host this. So I'm looking forward to meeting you all in person. Link in the chat. Otherwise, you go and check Business Reporter on LinkedIn, the website, and please register quickly. And I would like, last but not least, I would like to thank my panelists. Thank you, Walaa. Thank you, Maher, for your thought leadership, and hope I will have you both in future talk shows. Thank you again, and wishing you a nice evening to all. Bye.
Goodbye.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Bye.